it's working. All right, so Tajikistan. Woo! So excited to teach you about this. Do you have any questions for me?
I do.
Okay, I'd like to answer them. Clear up any misconceptions you have.
Do the people there have to walk long distances for water?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Where is it located?
It's actually located in southeastern Asia. Yeah, so.
Near what other countries?
Don't do this to me! It's in Asia. That's all we really need to know. Okay. Asians are in that country, so.
Mm-hmm. What are the main problems within the country?
So, the number one problem is probably women's education. And some would say, like, just education in general, but specifically women's education because they have a higher dropout rate in secondary school, which kind of floods into all these other problems that has to do with, like, maternal, what's it called? Maternal mortality rate and child mortality rate and gender equality problems. So, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so I have to teach you the 8 Millennium Development Goals, which are eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, achieve universal primary education, promote gender equality and empower women, reduce child mortality rate, reduce maternal mortality rate, combat HIV and AIDS and malaria, environmental stability, and global partnership for development. So all those things are kind of what we learned about over the semester, and I had to research them for my country. So they were developed by the United Nations Development Program, and we basically just went over each one throughout the semester. So I know a lot about this, and yeah, I am
You're the
too.
one to teach me.
Hi, okay, I'm ready to teach you. All right, so Tajikistan with poverty and hunger. The poverty rate went down by 3.3% in the last year, which is good. And they think that by 2015 that they'll be, what does it say? That they will be below the poverty line. So I'm pretty sure that's a good thing. Wait, yeah, I think so. Yeah. We'll see.
I'm very uneducated.
We'll see in 2015 what happens. But part of the problem with poverty has to do with primary education, which is the second Millennium Development Goal. So basically, education is tied to how these people live, because when they don't get the education they need, they can't get good jobs to rise out of the poverty that they're in. And so Tajikistan actually is doing really good with primary education. And women are both. They have a 97% enrollment rate for primary education. The thing is that after primary education, secondary education, a lot of the women drop out because of kind of cultural tension. The women are kind of expected to be in the home and to support the husband and have children, but they're also doing a lot of, I don't know, like manual labor that, contributes to their family as well. And so part of the problem is that women need to continue their education through like high school and college so that they can also contribute to their well-being, I guess, which will be talked about in a little bit. Promote gender equality, empower women. Like I said, they're kind of culturally alienated in a way. It's not like it is here where, it's accepted for women to have a career, but they can also stay home if they want to. They're kind of just in one societal cage. Yeah. And so yeah, they're trying to work on encouraging them to break out of these societal chains, if you will, and get more education. Reduce child mortality rate. They don't really have that big of a problem with it. It's more of a maternal mortality rate that they're having problems with. But child mortality rate, a lot of the issue has to do with finding good medical care. Like I said, a lot of the women don't have the education they need to go into these different fields. Okay, so maternal mortality rate. So since 1996, the maternal mortality rate has decreased from 97.7 to 32.2 per 10,000 live births. This is great progress in the area of access to good quality medical care as well as home birth assistance. So yeah, part of the problem is like postnatal care, like after they've had the kid. A lot of times there are issues with how the baby was delivered, and so they'll like contract disease, and there'll be like a lot of times like there's intense tears or something that are supposed to be like fixed medically, and they're just not, like they don't get it fixed, and so they get really sick and then they die. So it's inadequacy, access to emergency obstetric care. And that's kind of attributed to inequality of women and their education. And so, yeah, what was your question?
See, the children, like, is there a starvation problem there? Like, where the children have, like, the swollen edema, like, bellies?
I don't think that's as much of a problem in Tajikistan as it is in other third world countries, because a lot of times when that happens, part of the problem is the type of food that the land is cultivating. And so, like, depending on how developed the country is, if they have the right tools and stuff and the means to work the land, sometimes the food isn't as nutritious as it should be. They're not getting, like, all the things they need for their health. And then with that, they don't have and then they need more people to does that answer your question? What else am I trying to say?
I mean, I know it causes it and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm in nutrition class.
Yeah.
And, like, some of the kids can have night blindness because they don't get vitamin A, so they can't see.
Yeah, so
I just didn't know if that was in that country or not.
Yeah, no, it's not Tajikistan, but yeah, that was a good question. Combat HIV and AIDS and malaria. Tajikistan kind of has more of a problem with the awareness of HIV than treating it. Mm-hmm. A lot of the problem is how it is spread. Obviously, abstinence, like you don't want to go out and sneak around with a lot of people that have an STD. Yeah. And a lot of these people, they don't like fully understand how it's spread. And so I was reading, and they said that they set up like different programs like around the country to where they take these people in who have it, and they're like, look, this is how this works. And so like they're trying to educate the people more on how it's contracted and how to prevent it, and where do you go when you get it and stuff. So it's more at a level now where it's not spreading, like it's not increasing in numbers. It's just like at this steady rate, but they still want to reduce it to where less people have it. Another part of the problem is how expensive the medicine is for HIV, and that kind of goes along with Global Partnership for Development. They don't have like the governmental financial stability to just like access these drugs for all these people. And so getting a global partnership with the U.S. for both for both like creating jobs and for like supplying them with medicine and medical care and stuff like that is part of global partnership. As far as environmental stability goes, so apparently like about 20 years ago, they were a major provider for the USSR of cotton, and so they to like produce the cotton faster and more efficiently, they use this type of fertilizer that kind of like just destroyed the soil and stuff in certain areas of Tajikistan. And so part of the problem is that these pesticides and stuff have just infected the soil, and they can't really revive it. And so a lot of the land is just unworkable. They can't use it anymore. And I don't know, what was the solution? So when I was in Little Rock, I was actually like a member of Heifer International, and it's this organization where let me read it. They help third world countries in the area of farming and food production. They fund through charity donations as a way of providing countries with helpmeets for farming. So like they send countries like goats and stuff to help them like learn how to farm and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that could be a solution, I guess, like just educating them and how to bring the soil back to how it's supposed to be and showing them how they're supposed to work the land. Mm-hmm. That way they won't like do that again, obviously.
Yeah, destroy it.
Yeah. But that was a big issue because like they had been doing it for years, and so it's like all these years of harmful pesticides. Then I read something about the irrigation and how like they wash it out, like it goes into not only like the cotton fields, but apparently somehow it gets on like the foods, and so like now their foods are covered with these harmful pesticides. I'm like, well, that's a problem. Just like spreading it around. That's fun. Global Partnership for Development. The main problem that I researched was that the unemployment rate among youth is really, really low. And it's because they can't financially support the growing number of youth looking for jobs each year. There just simply aren't enough jobs, even for adults, like to work. So the problem with this is that a partnership is expensive. Like the funding for it is like astronomical. Apparently, it could cost anywhere from $5 to $175,000 per worker, depending on the nature of the workplace. So that includes like material intensive, science intensive, capital intensive, and just like all of these different implementations for the workplace that would just, because there's so many people out of work. So, I mean, the solution, I guess, is money, obviously, but with the state that our country is in, I'm not sure that we would be willing to help, unfortunately. But so then, it says how many goals should there be and why? I think they're all pretty important. Some of them are obviously more important than others, like obviously poverty and hunger and education are going to be up there. I think the first 5 should probably be like the primary goals that they're working towards. And I would even say that education should be number 1 because that can be traced back to poverty and hunger, and it's kind of like the foundation of everything else. What is really needed in Tajikistan would probably be, I would say, education. I'm not just saying this because I'm a woman and I'm feeling empowered, but that's like a major problem with women's education. So I would say that that's the main thing that they need. How can the country improve in a meaningful way? Again, empowering women. I think there's this strong hold on their culture that they don't want to let go of, which is understandable. You don't want to like go into a country and just tell them like what you're doing is wrong. You need to change everything you're doing. But at the same time, like they recognize that they're having problems with the maternal mortality rate, child mortality rate. And so if they recognize that and are able to find a way to change it, then there's going to be good change. What does the future hold for Tajikistan? Well, all of the things I researched said that they were improving like substantially in each category, especially the the HIV and AIDS and malaria area, that was the main one that improved a lot. So